So I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship, and my husband has businesses, and I'm just looking forward to digging into this and into everything that we're going to explore and guests that we'll meet and have on the podcast.
Hey, welcome to Legacy Insights, your journey from dreams to success. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs at any stage. So glad that you are joining us. This is our first podcast. This is the maiden voyage of what I hope to be a podcast that helps so many entrepreneurs, business owners, at any stage of their life. Well, my name is Steve Duff, and I am one of the hosts. I'm joined by three other wonderful hosts and hostesses, I guess. Christina Howard.
What do you want to call me?
Yeah,
Hello.
Christina, welcome.
Thank you.
Franklin Morris.
Hello.
Yeah.
How are y'all doing today?
You know, we are so excited to have both of you here.
Well, we're excited to be a part of it.
Yes, definitely.
Well, and the young man to my left, Joel McCorkle. I'm telling you, when he comes to entrepreneurs, he is the epitome.
Well,
Absolutely.
it's good to be here. I'm
So glad to
excited
have
for
you.
it.
So glad to have
It'll
you.
be fun.
Well, like I said, this is the maiden voyage of our Legacy podcast, and so excited again that you are joining us. So appreciative of that. I think we're going to go ahead and just start, and a little background about our hosts. There, Christina, you are certainly an entrepreneur at all different levels.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you all a little bit about myself. I'm Christina Howard. I live here in Grove with my husband, Damien, and my daughter, Jaylee. She's almost 14. We are moving to Pineville, just across the state line in Missouri shortly, and so we're excited about that. But yes, I have been an entrepreneur literally since I was probably 5 years old. I was picking up rocks out of my neighbors' yards and selling them to my neighbors. So that's when it started. And then I was buying bubble gum from the convenience store, taking it to school.
Wow.
And
awesome.
doubling the markup on there till the school shut me down because kids were spending their lunch money at my candy store.
That's
so
awesome.
that has grown into multiple different businesses over the years, which are much more serious than selling rocks and candy at the school. But I have had one business, Dirt Road Diva, that a lot of people here in Grove know me from. I've had that for just about 14 years now. I started it when Jaylee was a baby. And the big passion behind that was the way that being an entrepreneur and a business owner can be a blessing to a woman and a mother, and how it can allow you to write your own story there instead of someone else controlling your time and schedule and all of that. You have to put in a lot more hours, but as a mother, sometimes if you can put in hours at midnight instead of 8 to
Right.
5, it works out. So I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship, and my husband has businesses, and I'm just looking forward to digging into this and into everything that we are going to explore and guests that we'll meet and have on the podcast.
Wow. Excellent. Yeah, welcome.
Thank
Christina,
you.
I think you should tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel. too.
Exactly.
Okay.
That
Yes.
also fits this quite well.
Yes, and that is a business that a lot of people really don't realize is a business, but it is, and it's something that I'm really excited about. It's kind of taken a backseat in the last month because we sold our house and trying to get moved. But yes, I have a real estate focused YouTube channel, and you can just find it by searching for Christina Howard. And then we also are gearing up another channel where we are going to show how we're building our basically homestead from the ground
interesting.
up. And so we'll be doing that with, just the whole story. And so that in itself is a business and one that I love. And it's something that I'm passionate about, and I like to encourage other people to look into it also.
Now,
I'm so excited about that. That's going to be
Thank
cool
you.
to watch the.
Yes.
Because we're not
We've-
talking. You don't just Damien. You don't build just something average.
No,
Or
it's,
you
it's
go
not
all-
spec homes.
Yeah.
For example, it's very custom, and I have to reel him back a little bit. So you'll get to see some of that on the channel, I'm sure, as it all unfolds.
and we're talking about YouTube channels, but your channel is not just a YouTube channel. Your channel has gotten at least around 500,000 views and counting. And so not a lot of people get to that level of having a
Thank
YouTube
you.
channel like that. And so you have a different level of experience than a lot of people, as well as I just lost my train of thought.
Well,
I guess that sometimes happens.
Thank you for that. And it's taken a massive
Oh,
amount of
I
work
know.
to go from not knowing anything about it. And that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. Just dive in. Sometimes you have to just start, at least for me, start and then figure it out the next step as you go
Yeah.
along.
And what I thought was
Yes.
also really amazing is you have you have videos in your industry, which still in this day and age is still different. And so I'm really happy for what you've done.
Yes, in the industry being real estate, which is another business of its own. So I think like a lot of entrepreneurs, we'll find that a lot of our guests will have multiple businesses, kind of like Joel.
Absolutely.
What about you, Franklin?
Well, my name is Franklin Morris II, and I work at Burke Eye Care. I started working there July 20th of 2016, so I've lived and worked in Grove for about 8 years, and so I've been very thankful to be here. And I have just started, well, not really just started, but I have gone around to a lot of different businesses and been able to do business spotlights on a really cool Facebook group, a local Facebook group that's growing by around 1,000 plus people per month, and that's the Grove, Oklahoma Community Connection Facebook group. And what I really like is seeing the connection between doing something online and then people actually coming into local stores. And
Yes.
there's been so many different testimonies of people actually doing that. And it's fun to be creative and do experiments and all of that to help different businesses have some visibility.
What you're doing is actually making a difference in the business owners' lives around here and the success of their businesses. And I think for all of us, it's exciting to watch that.
Absolutely. And actually, your last one that you did for one of the stores here in Grove, when they opened this week, I planned to go in because
Okay,
of
cool.
something that you had spotlighted. So it definitely is working.
Well, let them know that Franklin sent you.
I will.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, that should be fun.
Yeah, and when we first started talking about the podcast, I know we've all talked about this. We all four met for lunch, and we were walking across the street in downtown, and somebody, randomly drove by and yelled out to Franklin that, "Hey, I love the videos," or something like that.
Yeah.
And you didn't have
Fun.
any idea who it is,
No.
or who it was. So you're kind of famous around here for your videos and your spotlights, and I think people have come to really enjoy them and rely on them to learn about the different businesses. So you pull
Absolutely.
out things from the businesses and the business owners that we would never know otherwise. So that's really neat to see that.
It is not easy being a small business owner and having a small business. And marketing, exposure, I would have to think is one of the biggest challenges. And to
Absolutely.
have someone like yourself, Franklin, to step out and do that, I think that not only small business owners appreciate that exposure that you're providing them, but I think the general public,
Yes.
and especially a small community like Grove, we like to see business thrive and do well. We know, these are our neighbors that have that business. And I think, like a gentleman that drove by and said, "Hey, good job." I don't know whether he had a small business or not, but he sure appreciated what you're doing.
Well,
Right.
And whether it's a resource for him to, hey, I'm going to go check out this business, or, like I said, they may know someone that you've helped.
Well, I went to a local store and I had asked about a week before. I've experimented with highlighting around various businesses for a year, over 30 businesses for over a year. And what do you think about these business spotlights on Facebook? And then after that, I went to a local store about a week later, and the owner told me that someone told her that, Franklin, you need to continue what you're doing because what you're doing is community service. And so I'm thankful that is some of the perspective that some people have about my content, that it is community service, and they really are appreciative of it.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
Absolutely.
And we're so tickled that you're with us and joining us. Yeah.
Perfect person for this type of podcast.
Really.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think especially because you care about the why behind why somebody does that. I mean, anytime we're talking about somebody, you're always the first to say, well, I want to know the why, or I want to know what caused them to do this, or what made them want to step out and try this. And I think that's so important. And a lot of people don't necessarily get the opportunity to say that. And so I think it's neat that you pull that out of these business owners.
Well, I'm really thankful for that. And I wanted to ask y'all a question. I've kind of done this before, but you, Joel and Steve, you decided to do a podcast in Grove, Oklahoma, and I think that's still out of the box thinking. And so why would you want to do something like that?
Well, Steve came into my office, and in a weak moment, without really thinking about it, I said yes.
And then you had to run with
Then
it.
I had to run with it, yes.
Well, hey, that's
He's very convincing.
I was going to say that's one of my qualities. I am,
There you go.
I guess, convincing or just loud until it gets done, huh?
Yeah. but
The greasy cog.
gets the attention.
So-
But I think we're always looking at ways to improve, with our real estate company, improve not only personally, but also getting what we do out to the general public. And we just started talking one day about, how a podcast, I think we were talking about Josh West's podcast and that he does from the Capitol, and how that would be a really neat way to just another avenue to talk about what we do. And so that started back towards the end of 23. And then it's now, we ordered all the equipment, and then, we had lots of different focuses that we were going to do. And then it's kind of morphed into this entrepreneur
Yeah.
podcast. Because I think that's important to both of us
When we
and all of us here.
It's the Legacy Real Estate. We started it. I mean, it was actually Joel had Dodd Company prior to that, and then it transitioned into Legacy Real Estate October 21, I believe. We're going on our third year. But prior to that, and this is something we can talk about, somebody in the podcast at some point, is as far as how do you get there? How do you get to what planning is involved? And how much I loved what you said, Christina. It's not only planning, but so often I've known people through my experience, they plan, and sometimes you can scare yourself.
Stay stuck
to
in the
not
planning
taking the
stage.
jump.
You have to
And
take the
there's
step.
some of it really is instinct. It's your gut, and is sometimes actually is more accurate than even some numbers that people put together. But so when we were doing this, that our goal with Legacy was to not just be the same old, not do the same thing in the market, be able to bring in services, training, development, agents that allow, to empower our agents, but to bring in some things, some tools that maybe you see in much larger markets, but bring them here and bring them and service it out of this office. And certainly podcasting was something that I'd been, through the training that I went through for the previous couple of years. Podcasts were becoming more and more important part of being able, as not only just a brokerage, but an individual agent, getting the word out there. But not necessarily podcasts, they're just strictly real estate based. But podcasts that actually serves the community, serves the greater good. And like Joel said, we were kind of thinking about it. Is in the back of our mind, but then Josh joined us, Josh West, as an agent, and he's one of our state representative. He's been doing a podcast, and he actually walked in my office and said, "You guys ought to be doing this." And it's like sometimes that inspiration to just be able to say, it's not that hard. You can
Right.
do this.
To have someone
And-
else come into agreement with you
Yeah.
is sometimes
Sometimes-
just that nudge.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
you need.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what was the next step. And plus, he had some logistical background on how to put it together. And I will tell you, I mean, the fifth player on this team is William Boucher. He's behind the scenes.
Hey, William.
He's waving. But, we were also blessed to have somebody with William's background and his training in media and podcasting. That's been huge. That's been huge to be able to have that technical experience and really even some, producing type experience through his schooling that he's had. So,
Well, Steve, so you are a business owner, obviously. So, what are some things as a business owner that you see this podcast being able to serve specifically, not just the community, but the community business owners? With you having the experiences being one also, what are some things that you see that will be a benefit
And maybe share a little bit of your background
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
with us on
about your
business.
family
Yeah.
and a little bit about you for our viewers?
okay. Well, thank you for that lead in. Actually, just a little bit. I am a resident of the Delaware County Grove area for going on 24 years now. My wife, Angie, and I have got 3 daughters and 2 sons there that live obviously in here. And all my daughters are married. 2 of them, their families are here in Grove, and then my other daughters in the Missouri area. But came here through the banking side, through Arvest Bank. 1999 that Kim went in. But prior to that, kind of just a little bit of background. I managed a restaurant, and I was an assistant manager of one of the busiest restaurants in Springfield. And I just came to realize, I had a gentleman tell me once, sometimes you got to try something to know it's not what you want to do.
Absolutely.
And that did not work out for me. And I was actually approached to start a detailing business and buy a detailing business. And then back then, this was really unique because most of the detailing shops, which they were not as prevalent as they are here or now. But it was even more so. I went to them. And so my goal was to go to dealerships. Mostly was to go to executives and actually do the detailing on site.
Right.
Business owners, just individuals, homes, go to their home and do it. Started that up, and then for health reasons, I had to step out of it. And I think that's where I'm going with this. Is I'm hoping that one of our sessions that we have, it's so important. And being a businessman and a businesswoman, especially in a startup over time, it can consume a lot of our time and our energy, and in some cases it needs to. But in that particular case, it consumed too much of mine. My health really declined in a very physical. I was the only one doing it, and it was a very physical job, and it just got to the point where the body broke down. And so I had to step aside, and that's where I'm kind of passionate of one of our episodes to have, balancing life with
Right.
And running a company and growing a company. And I think there's some, we definitely can have some experience come on board to help us with
What do you do when those hiccups happen?
Yeah,
And,
the challenges.
keep
the
things
challenges.
going and make sure that you're taking care of
Yeah.
yourself and your family
Yeah.
at the same time.
But it was a blessing from there. Went and did 30 years in banking, all different levels of banking. So I hope to bring some of that into the podcast. But then retired from that and was blessed that one of the agents here, when I told him I was retiring, he said, "You need to become a realtor at Dodd Company." And then that's where Joel and I had connected before then, but
banking.
it's really got to know each other more through real estate. And now it's been very blessed.
Here we are.
Very blessed. Here we
Yes.
are.
Absolutely.
Joel, how about you?
Yeah, so I actually moved to Grove 10 years ago this past Sunday. So
Awesome.
yeah, I've been here for quite a while. Moved up right out of college my wife and I moved here to work and eventually take over my grandparents' construction company. They did water treatment plants, very specialized, and did that for a few years, and then actually got into real estate. My grandfather ended up having several heart attacks, and so that just didn't quite work out like we had hoped. But I think in the long run, all things work together, and it worked out quite well. Got into real estate. Quentin asked me to purchase the Dodd company. He was thinking about retirement, and so we did that back in 2016, and then with the plan to eventually change the name to Legacy. And then that's when Steve came on board in 2021, 5 years after. And it's been fun. It's been really fun to see it transform from, I think we had 8 or 9 agents back then when I became involved in the Dodd company, and now we're at 30-some agents.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun to see
And I think
that.
prior to transition to Legacy, were we 12, 13?
I believe so.
Somewhere in that area?
I think right around that area. So
Wow.
it's been good, yeah. And then we've had some other opportunities to have some ownership in some other companies and be involved. In different industries as well, which has been fun. I don't sit well. I always like learning something new, and I always like doing something new. So I'm really good at the kickoff and the start, and I enjoy that piece of it.
Yeah, that is the
planning.
exciting and fun
Yes,
part, for sure,
definitely.
seeing something bloom.
Yes.
As Steve had mentioned with balancing family, you have a family.
I do,
And
yeah.
you seem like you do such a great job of running these multiple businesses, but then you still have the family time and a great marriage and all of that. So
Yes, yeah, I'm blessed with 2 little boys and a wife, and it's not easy, as all of you know. Like it's not always easy, balancing that, but it's important. I think that it's easy to balance it too much and not spend enough time at work, and it's easy to spend way too much time at work. And I think for me, the important piece is just the quality, right? When I'm at work, it's quality time. When I am at home, it's quality time. And I think that's so
good.
extremely important that we take advantage of our time well. Oftentimes, we end up just wasting our time, whether it's with family or at work, and having
so
that
where you're
quality
at,
time.
be all there,
Exactly.
basically.
Exactly. As
Yeah,
much as you
that's
can,
great.
right? I mean,
Yes,
you're still on call, right?
Yeah.
And so there's still times that you have to, change plans.
Right.
That's part of owning a business, and that's part of being the everything ends with you, right? You have to step in and do things at times, but there's a balance there. And
Absolutely.
I think that's important, and I think that's something we'll probably talk about more on this podcast, and bring in some guests that can help with that. And I'm excited to learn what other people do, right? Because
Me
I don't
too.
have all the right
I am
answers,
too.
but
Yeah.
but I think there's a lot that we can do to ensure that.
Well, that's why it really was important to note that this is a podcast that's for business owners, entrepreneurs, at all different stages of their career.
Yeah, whether you're
Yes.
first starting and have no idea what a balance sheet is, or a
Right.
P&L,
Yeah.
or you've been there and you've grown this incredible company, and now you're looking at retirement, and how do you exit? So I think that there's a lot of different topics that
Absolutely,
we'll
and I'm
cover.
excited to see who we bring on,
Yeah.
what they bring, and just how that ties together our community, because as being a real estate company, that's part of it, is serving and
absolutely
bringing in that community thing.
Well, and
businesses are the heart of that.
on the same, not only from an educational standpoint, but it's a story. Everybody's got a story. How did they get where they got? And through their stories, impart on us, I guess, wisdom, maybe some academic. But it's going to be a wide variety of topics. It's going to, like Joel was kind of touching base on. I hope that we're here to be able to help that person who's sitting in the office, like, what would it be like to own my own business, or step out there, help that
Some
person.
inspiration,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and help that person that is, I'm ready to make that jump. But how do I do it? What do I do? It's like we were talking on the podcast. We were sitting here thinking, we'd like to do this. I will honestly tell you that I never really thought we'd get to here. I mean, really, in the back of my mind, when we were just thinking it through,
honestly, me too.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
I mean, really, because but was that inspiration?
Yeah.
And I mean, really, in all fairness, you too, were there. I mean, your experience, seeing you doing what you're doing, you too. Some of that is like, okay, maybe we can do this.
We can
Well,
do
I
it.
don't think that we would be here if it weren't for Franklin and Christina.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that
Goodness.
we actually would be doing it. So
Yeah.
you guys are
Well.
key to this.
How about
But-
us?
Well,
And I think really the
We're-
plan is too, we're going to get those business owners, maybe some academic people, to be able to come in and visit with us. How do you take care of business in between? All that in between. And then also business leaders that have been from the beginning to the end. They may have retired, they may have sold it, and be able to impart on us, some guidance as well as some wisdom. Like Joel was saying, I'm excited that, what are we going to learn from this?
I really want to know when people have challenges, what is their mindset? And I know,
Yeah.
Steve, we were talking about one business, and that story, if you just stopped it at the beginning, you would think, okay, well, that was definitely a failure, but it's ended up being a really successful story. So I think people have those stories, and people sometimes get stuck in the challenge, but there's a way out of it. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about people's stories about how they got out of it.
Just having somebody
Me too.
say, I made it, you can too. You can do it too.
Absolutely. And failure is definitely part of any business. And so you're going to make the wrong decisions. You're going to, have bad things happen. How do you get through it? And how do you take the next leap of faith to keep going or to start something different? So
And it's going back to the mindset, so what do you do with that failure? Do you get depressed and feel bad and give up? Or do you look at it as an opportunity to learn or an opportunity to pivot and say, I've tried this and now I know it's really not what I need to be doing.
absolutely.
So.
And I think that's a key point that you can apply in so many areas in business, right? When things get tough, sometimes that's a great opportunity and the nudge that you need to pivot and
Right.
to focus a different
Yeah.
direction. So sometimes those things that we see as bad can be good. And so I think there's just so many different things that we're going to be able to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm getting the wind down signal from our producer, director, technology person, William, back behind the scenes, waving his hands. All right. So any last parting thoughts? I'm just kind of curious. What are you excited about? Let's starting this off. Just, you got
Well,
30 seconds.
I'm excited, kind of Franklin touched on it, but I love hearing about the startup part, and I love hearing about the adversity also and overcoming that.
Yeah.
What made you start this up? How'd you start it? How'd you take the first steps? I love that.
Yeah.
That's the exciting part to me, kind of like Joel said, getting something off the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. That'll be fun.
Yes.
I'm excited to just see this podcast grow because both of you and all of us, I guess, in one sense, have stepped out in doing this podcast together. And I think that it's going to be interesting because a lot of people just sit at the idea stage, but we are executing something with the purpose of service. And I think when you have that mindset, then it's going to be a blessing for other people.
Absolutely.
Cool. Great.
Steve, you and I talk about this quite a bit, but we both love seeing people develop,
Yeah.
and grow in their skills, whether it's in real estate or for me, whether it's in plumbing or HVAC or whatever it may be. I'm excited to be able to provide that opportunity for other people and to see them grow and develop and get better because we all do better when we learn. We can all learn.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well put. That's a great point. Well, I'm excited to kind of what like Joel said. It's just kind of really cool to think that maybe we can make a difference in somebody's life that's out there somewhere in the world that is just sitting behind the table, wants to make that jump,
Right.
but just a little bit concerned. And we're going to set out a website on this one so that you can actually, send us questions, send us maybe topics that or some type of mode, whether it's Facebook or whatever. We'll get that out there so you can, as a listener and viewer, we're on YouTube too, can maybe send us some questions that you have. But personally, I'm really too excited that I love learning, and to be able to have some of those that come in that literally have seen it from start to finish, and just give their insights.
Right.
There. So, and that's what we're about. We're Legacy Insights, and we are the podcast for entrepreneurs, want to be entrepreneurs, maybe someone who's just curious. How does a person make a company run? Maybe just entertainment purposes. Hopefully we fit it all in there. And but that's what we are about, and we really appreciate you joining us. We will look forward to having you come back, and please share and like the podcast, and hopefully we will just grow and grow and help lots and lots of people.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. With that, have a great day. Welcome to Legacy Real Estate. Take 25. Welcome to Legacy Insights, the podcast that's full of information, community events, Welcome to Legacy Insights, the podcast that is full of information, community events, fun, and tidbits of real estate. What's the tidbit part?
Real estate tidbits.
Thank you.
There you go. I like it.
Okay. This is good. I'm so glad to know I'm not alone. There you go.
Whoa! All right.